Hi folks, it's Wendy on Wednesday, and hope you're all doing well out there, enjoying a little bit of better weather, and most of you are back to work, so that's exciting. Probably very stressful and tiring and everything else, especially for the groomers who have been off for a little while, and all those joints and achy bits are probably aching more than normal right now. So tonight we're just going to get back into our explanations of different lines and different products and how you use them and all the rest of it. And a little bit late getting on here tonight because I was doing my hair for you. It's a wee bit puffier than normal. I didn't straighten it as I normally do, but if you wonder why it's all a little bit puffier, a little bit fluffier, it's basically because yeah, I use the Amplify line, Pure Paws Amplify Volumizing line. I have very thin hair, but it's very, very thick, so it weights itself down quite a bit, but without straightening the bottom of it, as you can see, that can really lift up and be very, very floaty. So what's this Amplify Volumizing line all about? Well, it's now called Amplify. Most of you will have known it if you've been around the Pure Paws block a few times, and if you've been using it for a few years, you'll recognize it as volumizing. And in fact, some of the old bottles have been reused whenever there was a bottle shortage there for a bit. So some of the Amplify shampoo is actually showing up in the volumizing bottles again until that circulates back through to the newer bottles, which are more of this shape and just say Amplify. But the Amplify and the volumizing are basically the same thing. They do still have volumizing underneath the Amplify name because there was a lot of confusion. People was, oh, I want the volumizing, do you not have it? I have Amplify. Well, that's not the same. It is the same. So yeah, it is the same. And basically you've got lots of goodies in here. You can use these on a lot. Now obviously they're more commonly used on that kind of coat that you want a little lift to. So think your Bichons, think your Poodles. But they're also used as well in conjunction with any of the other lines and can be mixed and matches, or Pure Paws cocktails as we like to call them, where you can use one from one of the other lines like Texture, for example, if you want to have volume and a little bit more of a crispness to the coat, if you have a soft, more of a drop coat or a purr coat, or in fact a blown coat. If you have a female that's just had puppies and blown her coat, then you're wanting to try and make it look like there's more coat than there really is. So the Amplify would be basically the first thing that you would grab to go to. And then if you want to add more structure and everything into that, you can add a little bit of the texture, or you can add some of the other products along the line to give you your crispness. Now, the ingredients in these, you've got a lot of rice and wheat protein. And proteins are really helping to do the building blocks. So if you've got a very, very limp, useless coat and you want that to plump it up a little bit, the extra proteins will fill in any damaged bits. And especially I've got lots of damage in my hair at the minute because I haven't been professionally groomed in months. So there's lots of split ends and things like that, but this can actually help to seal those up a little bit. They'll actually fill in the holes or the gaps or the damage and everything in the hair if there's little bits of cracks on the cuticle, or the protein bond just needs to be built up to strengthen that hair as well. It will do that a little bit too. But with the proteins and everything in it, they will actually build up to actually create a thicker hair cuticle. So that's how you get the volume created. Obviously as well, I mean, mine looks flatter. You should have seen it when I actually dried it upside down before and then put my head up, and it was like 80s hello. So you do get a lot of volume out of it, depending on obviously how you dry it and how you apply it. So this was just shampoo because I was running late, and then I went in with the volumizing gel, the Amplify volumizing gel, sprayed that in after I'd towel dried it, and then just went crazy drying it. And then I stretch dried it or dried it straight with the brush because I do have naturally wavy, kind of curly. It's a lot curlier down here. Basically I just basically straightened it out with the brush, or what we would call stretch drying, or whenever you're doing it in the likes of a poodle coat or anything else. But you can spray that in underneath, work it into the hair, work it into the root, work it into the hair shafts, and then go and dry. And I have to say hello to Fiona, because she's a buddy from Ireland I haven't seen in years and years. And other products as well then that you can use. Any types of coats these are suitable for. So if it's straight, wavy, curly, a texture like Old English Sheepdog or something that you need more volume as well, that can also help. If you have the crispness in the coat, you just need the poof. There's your Amplify. If you need the poof as well, then you want to add in some texturizing products as well at the end. But you've got a few different finishes. So once you do your shampoo and conditioner, and of course they always recommend to start with the factor 0, and especially if you're going to be doing a show, for example, and you're putting a lot of these products into the coat, or in fact you are actually playing and practicing with them all before your show, because you don't want to do it the day before and realize, oh, don't like that combination. So you do want to practice with these things. And if you're doing regular maintenance, as you should be on a big show coat, then you'll be using a lot of products. So always go back to your factor 0 again whenever you've used a lot, because that will help to take all of your excess build-up product out. So you're using less of your actual specialty shampoo in there. So your factor 0 is always a mainstay as well on your grooming shelf. So yeah, on your finishing products, you have the foam, you have the gel, and you have the mousse. And you're going, oh, how on earth am I supposed to know what to use? Well, it depends on your coat. If you have a pretty good coat that you just need a little bit of a help with, then you can do your foam. It's the lightest. If you need a little bit more of that, say it was that blowing coat that's really, really limp and very, very sparse now as well, a little bit of the mousse is a heavier, richer, denser type as well. So you'll want that, because that's going to help that give that more volume. Think of it as well, girls, when we were in the 80s and the backcombing and all the rest of it. Any of us that are old enough, that is, that were of that age, and the mousse was like the thing. You could not live without your mousse. So that's definitely what gives you your lift as well, or your root lift. So you work that in at your roots, and it's just like your mousse. The spray gel as well will also help. Think of it in an application where you have a dog that you're always drying, and then you're running around the dog show with a damp little rag or blanket or towel or whatever over the back end of that dog, so that it doesn't frizz and curl up. And I've seen it many, many times. So instead of doing that and all that work, this is a product that you will probably fall in love with, and that's the spray gel. Reason being for that is because you can use it both on a wet coat and a dry coat. Now you see it here was used on a wet coat and dried in. Now there is no sticky residue to this. There is nothing that feels fake. A lot of people are always worried about using products where, oh, the judge is going to feel like there's an awful lot of product in here. You would not feel that there is anything in that coat. But what you can do as well, you can also dilute this 4:1 and using a spray bottle on a dry coat as well, and then re-dry it in across the top of that back. And as you're actually drying and stretch drying that coat with a brush, then you can actually smooth that out and straighten that wave or that curl. I've seen it used very successfully in some Newfoundlanders. And in fact, Arlene's daughter, who was showing Star, their Newf, she has a video as well. I'm sure if you probably Google it or YouTube it for Pure Paws Amplify, you may actually come across Sierra showing how to use this to exactly do what I was just describing. So those are all very handy. Now, if you've got that big top knot, if you're going on your poodles or any of your other breeds as well that you want to hold that poof in place, then of course we have your Amp It Up Amplify hairspray. So you can spray that all on. And certainly that's what I'm saying. If you're using all these products in a coat, you're wanting to go and bath that out the next day or two and have a nice deep conditioning and everything else. Because any of those products that are building up and sitting on a hair cuticle, over a time, if they're sitting there, they can attract more dirt and dust and everything else to them, and also create breakage. And you certainly don't want a good, perfect, beautiful show coat to start breaking. So as long as you're doing regular maintenance, that's not going to happen. So a couple of the other ingredients in there, we've got our Parthenol, our vitamin B15, and anything else in there have I missed? I don't think so. But any questions on this, folks, let me know. We also as well do have the little travel kits as well. So you basically have 4 of the products from each line. Most of the lines are available in the travel kits as well. And it's a good way to try a few different lines out to see whether you like them, which ones you like, which work best with your coat. Because if somebody says, oh, well, I've got such and such a breed, well, that breed can have about 30 different versions of coat and different, especially if you're looking at a doodle, although we don't show doodles. But at some point we probably will. But say you've got a poodle coat. Well, is it black? Is it apricot? Is it brown? Is it cream? They're all different hair structures as well, and within those coats as well, plus the genetics, everything else, all changes, plus your regular maintenance also makes a difference as to how good that coat behaves and grows and everything else. So those travel kits are great because somebody may come along to me even and say, well, I've got a Yorkie, and originally the Code Secret line, which is no longer available, was formulated specifically for Yorkies. But the person who helped Arlene formulate them for Yorkies had perfect Yorkie coats. And there's very few of them out there in reality. So it ended up being a product that was very heavy, weighted down, looked greasy on a lot of these different mixes. So the Silk Basics is basically a really good go-to for your drop coats for sure. But again, if you need a little oomph, you've got that. Now, I also think of it for different breeds as well, that you wouldn't necessarily be doing an awful lot of grooming to some degree. A lot of those double coated breeds, sometimes they need an awful lot more grooming than most people give them credit for, especially to get out dead coat, especially to help keep clean and healthy skin, and to have a good healthy skin to help promote a good healthy coat growth. So a lot of things like your Siberian Huskies, Pomeranians, and Poms are great with this line actually because they just look like little powder puffs. Pekingese, your Bichons that we've talked about, but other double coats as well, the likes of, think of even an Akita or a German Shepherd and things like that. People would not be even considering most of the time, especially here that I've seen, using products like this on those breeds. They're rough and ready, or sometimes they'll walk past you at a dog show and you can actually smell them. They're reeking, they haven't had a bath in God knows how long. So they're going then on structure more to do anything else on good breeding lines. But what about on the back of furnishings where you need those to look fuller? A little bit of the mousse or a little bit of the foam. And something else you can do with the foam as well is you can use this and tint it a little bit with the Pure Paws chalks. So that's also another way to do it, so that you can actually bring in the color too and plump that up. But you think of the furnishings on the legs, behind the tail, on the bum and everything else. If you want those to look full, or in fact think of a rough collie where you need more, as opposed to just cholesterol and chalk until you're literally in a complete cloud of dust. Why not use something else that's going to get you halfway there? So the Amplify line is brilliant for that. So I implore you to consider it. It's all available at dogsofpride.com. And I am thinking that's probably about it for now, really. So I'm going to go and straighten this, and might even give myself a wee home grooming, because there was a few split ends there that are driving me absolutely batty. And I have no idea when I'm going to get in next, because I know I'm way down the list. But there you go. There you have it. Again, any questions, give me a shout. Oh, hello, Emily. Sorry, I didn't see you there earlier. Half the times I never see it flying up here because I'm looking all around the place, a squirrel. Anywho, that's me. That's it for now. And yeah, that's all now. Cheerio.